How does a shy boy, once afraid of the dark, grow up to defeat a powerful empire without firing a single shot? Discover the incredible story of Mahatma Gandhi. To hear more stories that inspire and master your English, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss our next video. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most inspiring figures in all of history, Mahatma Gandhi. This is going to be an incredible journey. A story full of important lessons, deep emotions, and powerful moments that can teach us all something important about our own lives. I will take you step by step through his life from the very beginning, all the way to his final days. Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869. He was born in a small town called Porbandar, which is in a part of India we now call Gujarat. His full name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. But much later in his life, people began to call him Mahatma. This is a special name. It means great soul. So let's start from the very beginning, from his childhood. Mohandas was born into a loving Hindu family. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, was an important man in their town. He was a chief minister. His mother, Putlibai Gandhi, was a deeply religious woman. She was very kind and gentle. Putlibai was a devoted mother, and she lived a life full of spiritual practice. She would often fast, which means she would not eat for a day, to show her devotion to God. She prayed every day. Her simple way of living and her deep faith left a very strong impression on young Mohandas. He watched his mother and learned from her quiet strength. As a child, Gandhi was not the strong leader we know today. He was a quiet and very shy boy. He was not very big or brave. In fact, he was scared of many things. He was afraid of the dark, of ghosts, and even of talking to other children. But inside that shy little boy, there was a deep curiosity, a desire to understand the world. He was eager to learn. He especially loved listening to stories from the great Indian books, the epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. These stories were full of heroes and adventures, and they taught him important lessons about truth, honesty, and good behavior. When Gandhi was around 13 years old, something very important happened in his life. He was married to Kasturbai, a girl who was the same age as him. This was a common tradition in India at that time. For a young boy, this was a huge, life-changing moment. Many years later, Gandhi often said that he learned a great deal from Kasturbai. She was a strong and independent woman, and she stood by his side, supporting him through all the challenges of his life. After he finished his school in India, Gandhi had a big dream. He decided he wanted to become a lawyer. So in the year 1888, at the age of just 18, he made a huge journey. He left his home and his family and traveled to London in England to study law. This was his first time ever leaving India. Everything was new and different, and he faced many challenges. He struggled to speak English perfectly. The words felt strange in his mouth. He also found it very hard to adapt to British culture. The food, the clothes, the way people talked, it was all so different from his home. He felt very lonely in the big, busy city of London. He missed his family terribly. But even with all these difficulties, he did not give up. He was determined to succeed. While he was in London, Gandhi learned a lot about Western ideas, about politics and philosophy. But at the same time, he also grew more connected to his own Indian roots. He remembered his mother's teachings and decided to start eating simple vegetarian food. This was not common in England at the time, but it was important to him. This was also a time when Gandhi began to read many important books. He read about different religions, not just Hinduism, but also Christianity and Islam. As he read, he began to form a powerful belief, one that would guide him for the rest of his life. He came to believe that all religions at their heart teach the same things: love, compassion, and truth. Gandhi successfully completed his law studies in 1891 and returned to India. He was excited. He hoped to start a successful career as a lawyer in his home country. But things did not go as planned. He was still that shy boy inside. He felt nervous and anxious standing in a courtroom. It was very hard for him to argue in front of a judge. His voice would shake. It seemed like his dream of becoming a great lawyer was slowly slipping away. He was beginning to feel lost. Then, in 1893, when Gandhi was 24 years old, an opportunity came. It was an offer to work in a faraway place called South Africa. A businessman from his home state of Gujarat, a man named Dada Abdullah, needed some legal help for his business. He invited Gandhi to come to South Africa to assist him. Gandhi thought about it. He accepted the offer thinking it would be a temporary job, maybe just for 1 year. But he had no idea. He could not have known that this one journey would change his entire life and in turn change the world. When Gandhi arrived in South Africa, he experienced something he had never truly faced before. He faced intense racism. At that time, South Africa was under British rule just like India. But here, there was a very clear and cruel system of separation. There was a deep divide between the white people and the people of color, which included the many Indians who lived and worked there. Indians were treated like second-class citizens. They faced discrimination everywhere they went. One of the most famous and important incidents in Gandhi's life happened shortly after he arrived. He was traveling by train from the city of Durban to Pretoria. Gandhi had bought a first-class ticket. He was sitting in the first-class compartment, as was his right. But then a white passenger got on the train and saw him. The man was angry. He immediately went to complain to the railway officials. The officials came to Gandhi and told him he had to move. They said he must go to the third-class compartment where the other people of color were. Why? Gandhi asked. He refused. He argued calmly but firmly. I have a valid first-class ticket. Why should I move? But the railway officials did not care about his ticket. They only saw the color of his skin. Because he would not move, they forcibly threw him off the train. He was left at a small, dark station in the middle of the night. It was cold. It was dark. And it was deeply humiliating. Gandhi sat alone on the platform of that empty station, shivering from the cold, but also from the shock. He sat there all night, thinking. This single event shook him to his core. He realized something profound that night. This was not just his problem. This was the problem of every Indian, every person of color living in South Africa. They were all being treated unfairly with no dignity and no respect, and no one was standing up for them. In that cold, dark moment, Gandhi made a decision. He decided that he could not and would not stay silent. After that terrible night on the train, Gandhi began to look at the world around him with new eyes. He observed the situation in South Africa more closely. He saw that Indians were not allowed to vote. He learned they were forced to carry special passes, like identity papers, at all times. If they were caught without their pass, they could be arrested. They were treated with no respect in their daily lives. Gandhi started to speak to the other members of the Indian community. He listened to their stories. He began to organize them, to bring them together so they could fight against this injustice. But here is what made Gandhi so different. He did not believe in fighting back with anger or with violence. He believed in a different kind of power. He believed in the power of truth and in peaceful, non-violent resistance. He created a special word for this method, satyagraha. It is a word that means the force of truth, or holding on to truth. For the next 21 years, Gandhi stayed in South Africa. He became the leader of the Indian community, and he led many campaigns to fight against discrimination. Here are some of the key things that happened during this important time. One of the first big protests was the burning of the passes. As we know, Indians were required to carry these special passes. Gandhi organized a large gathering where thousands of people came together. As a symbol of their resistance, they burned their passes in a large fire. This was a powerful act. It was one of the first major acts of what we call civil disobedience, led by Gandhi. It was a peaceful way of saying, "We will not obey this unfair law." Gandhi also believed that living a simple and truthful life was the foundation of everything. He started a community, a farm called the Tolstoy Farm. Here, people from different backgrounds came to live together. They worked hard on the land, grew their own food, and followed his principles of nonviolence and simple living. It was a place to practice the ideals he was fighting for. Then, in 1913, Gandhi led a massive march. It was a protest against several unfair laws. Thousands of Indian men, women, and even children marched peacefully for many miles. This march was powerful. It was not violent, but it showed the government the strength and unity of the Indian community. It drew attention from people around the world to the struggles of Indians in South Africa. During his 21 years in South Africa, Gandhi completely transformed as a person. The shy, nervous young lawyer was gone. In his place was a strong, wise, and incredibly determined leader. He was no longer afraid to speak out. He had found his voice. He also adopted a very simple lifestyle. He started wearing plain, simple clothes. He ate simple food. He focused his entire life on serving others. In 1915, after spending more than 2 decades in South Africa, Gandhi finally returned to India. He was now 45 years old. He was already a well-known and respected leader because of his incredible work in South Africa. But now his focus shifted to his homeland. India was still under British rule, and the people of India were suffering greatly. There were heavy taxes, extreme poverty, and a complete lack of freedom. These were the everyday realities for millions of people. Gandhi looked at his country and knew he had to do something. When Gandhi returned to India, he didn't immediately jump into politics. He was wise. Instead, he spent the first few years traveling all across the country. He wanted to see the real India. He visited small, forgotten villages. He sat down and talked to poor farmers. He listened to them. He observed the lives of ordinary people, and what he saw broke his heart. Gandhi realized that most Indians lived in deep poverty. They didn't have enough food to eat, or clean water to drink, or even proper clothes to wear. He saw that farmers were forced to pay very high taxes to the British government even when their crops failed, and they had no money. Gandhi felt the pain of his people deeply. He decided right then that his life's mission would be to free them from this suffering. One of Gandhi's first major campaigns in India took place in a district called Champaran in the state of Bihar. The farmers there were facing a terrible problem. They were being forced by the British landowners to grow a crop called indigo, which was used to make blue dye. They were not allowed to grow food for their own families. And what was even worse, they were paid very little money for all their hard work. The farmers were starving, but they had no way to fight back against the powerful British. In 1917, Gandhi went to Champaran. He wanted to understand their problems for himself. The British authorities were not happy. They tried to stop him. They ordered him to leave. But Gandhi did not back down. He calmly refused. He stayed in the villages, and he began to talk to the farmers one by one. He listened to their stories and carefully collected evidence of their suffering. Then, Gandhi led a peaceful protest. It was a non-violent stand against the British, demanding better treatment and fair conditions for the farmers. This movement was a huge success. The British government was forced to listen, and the farmers were finally given the right to grow food for their families instead of indigo. This was Gandhi's first major victory for justice in India, and it proved once again the incredible power of his method of non-violent resistance. During this time, Gandhi also worked very hard to unite the people of India, especially Hindus and Muslims. One important example of this was his support for the Khilafat movement in 1919. This movement was led by Indian Muslims who wanted to protect the leader of the Ottoman Empire, who they saw as their spiritual head or caliph. Gandhi believed that for India to be free, Hindus and Muslims had to stand together as one. He gave his full support to the Khilafat movement, and this action helped to bring the two communities much closer. This unity was essential for the long struggle for independence that was ahead. By the year 1920, Gandhi had become the most important and beloved leader of the Indian independence movement. He launched a massive nationwide protest called the Non-Cooperation Movement. It was a peaceful rebellion against British rule. Gandhi asked all Indians to do a few simple but powerful things. First, he asked them to boycott British goods. This meant they should stop buying British-made clothes, tea, and other products. Second, he asked people to resign from British jobs. He urged Indians to quit working for the British government. Third, he asked them to reject British schools, to pull their children out of schools run by the British. Instead of these things, Gandhi encouraged Indians to use Swadeshi products. Swadeshi is a word that means made in one's own country. He even started spinning his own cloth using a simple spinning wheel. This hand-woven cloth was called khadi. He encouraged everyone to do the same. The act of spinning khadi became a powerful symbol. It was a symbol of self-reliance, of independence, and of freedom from British control. The non-cooperation movement gained huge support. Millions and millions of Indians from all parts of the country joined Gandhi's call. However, the movement faced a difficult challenge. In 1922, in a village called Chauri Chaura, a protest turned violent. A group of angry protesters attacked and set a police station on fire, killing several policemen. Gandhi was deeply upset by this incident. His entire philosophy was built on nonviolence. As a result, even though the movement was becoming very successful, he called it off. He would not lead a movement that used violence. In 1930, Gandhi launched what is perhaps one of the most famous protests in all of history, the Salt March. At that time, the British government had a monopoly on salt. This meant that no one in India was allowed to make or sell salt except the government. They also put a heavy tax on salt, which made it very expensive for ordinary poor Indians. Salt is something everyone needs, and Gandhi saw this tax as a symbol of the unfairness of British rule. He decided to challenge this law. On March 12, 1930, Gandhi and 78 of his trusted followers began a long march. They started from his community, his ashram in Sabarmati. Their destination was a small village called Dandi, which was near the sea. The journey was 240 miles long. As they walked day after day, something amazing happened. Thousands and thousands of people came out of their homes and joined the march. The line of people grew longer and longer. When they finally reached the seashore on April 6th, Gandhi walked down to the water's edge. In front of a huge crowd, he bent down and picked up a small handful of natural salt from the ground. With this one simple, quiet act, he had broken the British salt law. This small action became a powerful symbol of resistance that was understood by everyone in India. The Salt March inspired millions of Indians to join the independence movement with new energy and hope. Gandhi was arrested many times by the British. They thought that by putting him in prison, they could stop the movement. But they were wrong. Instead of weakening the movement, his arrests made him even more popular. People saw him as a symbol of courage and sacrifice. It seemed that each time Gandhi was sent to prison, more and more people joined the struggle for freedom. In 1942, during the Second World War, Gandhi launched his final major campaign, the Quit India movement. He demanded that the British leave India immediately and completely. He gave the people a powerful, simple slogan, "Do or die." He was not asking for violence. He was asking for a new level of determination. He asked Indians to fight for freedom peacefully, but with all their heart, and not to stop until they had achieved it. The British government responded immediately by arresting Gandhi and many other leaders. But this time, the people did not wait for instructions. Protests erupted all across the country. People showed incredible bravery. This movement created massive pressure on the British government. They were weak after the war, and they could see that they could no longer control India. Finally, after years and years of struggle, of peaceful resistance, of countless sacrifices, India gained its independence on August 15, 1947. Gandhi's dream. The dream of a free India had finally come true. However, this great victory came with a terrible price. Independence was granted, but the country was painfully divided into two nations, India and Pakistan. Gandhi was deeply saddened by the violence and hatred that erupted between Hindus and Muslims during this time. After India gained its independence in 1947, Gandhi should have felt happy and victorious. But instead, his heart was broken. The country he loved so much, the country he had fought for his entire life, was divided. It was split into two nations, India and Pakistan, based on religion. This division, known as partition, caused terrible, terrible violence. Millions of people were forced to leave their homes. Hindus and Sikhs living in the new Pakistan had to move to India, and millions of Muslims had to move from India to Pakistan. During this massive migration, people faced unimaginable suffering. Families were torn apart. Homes were burned and destroyed. And there was widespread violence. Hindus and Muslims who had lived together as neighbors peacefully for centuries began fighting and killing each other. Gandhi, who had always dreamed of a united India where all religions could live in peace, was deeply saddened by this wave of hatred and bloodshed. So in his final years, Gandhi's focus shifted. He was no longer fighting the British. Now he was fighting to bring peace and harmony back to his own people. Let's explore this powerful and very emotional last chapter of his life. At the age of 78, when he could have been resting, Gandhi decided to travel to the areas that were most affected by the violence. He walked barefoot through destroyed villages. He met with angry mobs of both Hindus and Muslims. He stood before them, a small, frail old man, and he begged them to stop killing each other. He would tell them, "We are all children of the same God." Why Are We Fighting? Gandhi didn't just talk about peace. He led by example. In the city of Kolkata, where terrible violence had broken out between Hindus and Muslims, Gandhi went and stayed right in the middle of the most dangerous area. He wanted to restore peace. To do this, he began one of his famous hunger strikes. He refused to eat until the violence stopped. This was a form of protest where he used his own suffering to touch the hearts of others. People were moved by his incredible sacrifice. They saw this old man willing to die for peace, and slowly they began to lay down their weapons. In January of 1948, Gandhi moved to Delhi, the capital where more violence had erupted. Once again, he began a hunger strike. He refused to eat until the leaders of the Hindu and Muslim communities promised to live together in peace. Gandhi's health was already very weak. His friends and doctors were worried. But he didn't care about his own life. He believed that his fasting, his suffering could inspire people to change their hearts. And it worked. The people of Delhi were deeply affected by his sacrifice. They realized how much Gandhi was willing to give for peace. Leaders from both communities, Hindus and Muslims, came to his bedside together. They pledged that they would stop the fighting. Only then, when he saw that his efforts had been successful, did Gandhi agree to break his fast. Even in these final difficult years, Gandhi continued to live a very simple life. He stayed in a small, simple room. He wore his humble hand-spun khadi clothes. He ate plain, simple food. He spent his days spinning his charkha, his spinning wheel, praying and meeting with hundreds of people from all walks of life who came to seek his advice. He also worked hard to uplift the poorest people and to improve the condition of the so-called untouchables, a group at the very bottom of the social ladder. He gave them a new, beautiful name, Harijans, which means children of God. Gandhi believed that every single human being deserved respect and dignity, no matter their caste, their religion, or their background. Then, on January 30th, 1948, something terrible happened. Gandhi was in Delhi, staying at a place called Birla House. Every evening, he would hold a prayer meeting where people of all faiths gathered to listen to him speak. That evening, just like every other evening, Gandhi was walking to the prayer ground. A man named Nathuram Godse approached him. Godse was a Hindu extremist. He was angry with Gandhi. He believed that Gandhi was being too kind to the Muslims and that he was responsible for the partition of India. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Godse pulled out a gun and shot Gandhi 3 times in the chest. Gandhi fell to the ground. His last words were a quiet prayer. Hey Ram. It means, "Oh God." The news of Gandhi's assassination sent a shockwave across the world. People in India and all around the globe were filled with grief. They mourned the loss of this great soul. Millions of people attended his funeral, and his ashes were immersed in the holy river Ganga. Even though Gandhi was no longer physically alive, his teachings and his principles lived on. His powerful message of nonviolence, truth, and peace went on to inspire other great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. in America in his fight for civil rights, and Nelson Mandela in South Africa in his fight against apartheid. Gandhi showed the world that you don't need violence to fight for justice. You only need courage, love, and a deep determination to hold on to the truth. Even though Mahatma Gandhi left this world in 1948, his life and his teachings remain alive and powerful in the hearts of millions of people. Gandhi's story is not just about India's independence. It is a timeless story about courage, about truth, and about the incredible power of human determination. He showed the world that even when you face challenges that seem impossible, you can achieve great things. You can succeed if you have the strength to believe in your values and to never ever give up. So now let's reflect on some of Gandhi's greatest lessons and think about how they can inspire us to be better, stronger, and more compassionate human beings in our own lives. Lesson 1. Nonviolence is the greatest power. Gandhi proved to the world that violence is not the answer. He believed that ahimsa, the principle of nonviolence, is the most powerful weapon we have. Just imagine standing up to one of the strongest empires in the world without using any guns or bombs. That is what he did. Gandhi taught us that patience, love, and truth can conquer even the greatest enemies. Think about this in your own life. Maybe you are facing problems at school, or at work, or with people around you. Gandhi's message reminds us to try to deal with conflicts calmly and with kindness. No matter how hard things get, we can always choose peace over anger. Lesson 2. Stay true to your principles. Gandhi believed deeply in truth. He called his own life an experiment with truth, because for him, nothing was more important than being honest with himself and with others. Even when people doubted him or criticized him or told him he was wrong, Gandhi stayed true to what he believed in. This is a powerful lesson for all of us. When you have dreams and goals, the world might try to pull you down. People might say that you're not good enough or that your dreams are too big. But Gandhi teaches us that we should never let go of our values. If you believe in yourself and you work with honesty, nothing can stop you from achieving your dreams. Lesson 3. Small actions can change the world. When Gandhi started spinning his own cloth khadi, or when he walked to the sea to make a little bit of salt, some people probably laughed at him. They might have thought these were small, meaningless actions. But Gandhi showed that even the smallest steps can create the biggest changes. In our own lives, we often think that our efforts are too small to matter. Maybe you feel like you're not doing enough, or that your dreams are too far away. But remember, this big changes always start with small, consistent steps. If you take just one small step every day toward your goal, you will eventually reach it. Lesson 4. Simplicity is the key to happiness. Gandhi lived a very, very simple life. He didn't need fancy clothes or big houses or expensive things to be happy. For him, happiness came from helping other people and staying close to his values. In our world today, many of us are always chasing after material things, thinking that a new phone or a new car will make us happy. But Gandhi's life reminds us that true lasting happiness comes from within. It comes from kindness, from gratitude, and from living a meaningful life. And Lesson 5. Never give up. Perhaps the most inspiring part of Gandhi's life is his incredible determination. Imagine how difficult it must have been for him to fight against an empire as powerful as the British. He was put in jail. He was beaten. He was criticized and betrayed. And yet he never, ever gave up. Gandhi believed that every failure was just a step closer to success. He famously said, "First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win." This is a lesson for all of us. No matter how many obstacles or difficulties come your way, never stop fighting for what you believe in. You might fail once or twice, or even 100 times. But as long as you keep going, you will achieve what you want. Even today, people all around the globe look to Gandhi for guidance. His life shows us that it doesn't matter where you come from or how small or powerless you feel. You can make a difference. And it's for this reason that Mahatma Gandhi's face is on all Indian currency on every rupee note. He is considered the father of the nation. The image that is used on the currency comes from a famous photograph that was taken in 1946. In it, Gandhi is smiling warmly. That smile represents peace, simplicity, and hope. As we end our story today, think about Gandhi's life as a shining example for all of us. He wasn't born rich or powerful. He was an ordinary man who believed in extraordinary things. His dream was to free India, and he achieved it. He did not achieve it by fighting with weapons, but by fighting with his heart, his mind, and his soul. You too have the power to achieve your dreams. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. All you need is courage, determination, and a belief in yourself. Gandhi once said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." This beautiful sentence means that if you want to make the world a better place, you must start with yourself. Work hard. Stay honest, and never stop dreaming. Gandhi's life may have ended, but his spirit lives on. It lives on in every person who fights for truth, for justice, and for freedom. He is not just the father of India. He is a father figure to the entire world, showing us the way to live a life with purpose and compassion. Let this story of Gandhi remind you that greatness is within all of us. You can overcome any challenge, you can achieve any dream, and you can make the world a better place just as Gandhi did. Remember, you are stronger than you think you are braver than you know, and you are capable of amazing things. Keep going and never give up. This was the story of Mahatma Gandhi, an ordinary man who changed the world. Thank you for listening. Let me know in the comments what you learned from this story.